Hi everybody, it's Agnes. Welcome to another interview. We've got Jaclyn back. Many of you have actually emailed me about how amazing her interview was, and I emailed Jaclyn because I just thought if she had time to come back and talk to you now that her relationship has been going for a while, to get the next part of where she's up to and what she's doing and how the daily routine is and everything. So welcome, Jaclyn.
Hi. I'm actually really excited to be back, and it's funny that you said that people were emailing you because I had people find me on social media, excuse me, and they were like, Jaclyn, I saw your interview, and I'm like, how did you guys find me? I mean, it wasn't creepy or anything like that, but there was just a lot of people that they really wanted to reach out, and I never imagined that I would impact people that much with my story. So I mean, it's been kind of crazy, kind of a wild ride. So where we left off was that my person and I had really had a breakthrough with can you hear?
No, there's just a lot of crackling. I'm not sure where it's coming from.
Can you hear? Is that better?
Yes, that's better. Yeah, something was moving and it was crackling.
Okay, let me just take out the headphones. They may be the problem. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. So whenever we left off with my person and I, we had really just had like a breakthrough conversation, and we were working on, like, where do we go from here? We're going to start slow. We're still taking things very slow. He actually had another surgery in January, but this time, I mean, it's been nothing but progress ever since, and there's still been things I've had to work on within myself, patience, and I still have to do the work. I still have to meditate and get myself into a good place. I still have to monitor my thoughts because I still have those old tendencies of, like, who is this person? I want to look at their Facebook, like, who are they to him, and I mean, we have that level of trust, but it's still those old things start to come back. So it's not once you get with them that it's immediately just everything's perfect, you move forward. No, you still have work to do. Yeah. Because, you can even have like a bad day and it may not be anything related to your person at all, but then it creeps in to where you start to have anxiety about them because you have something else going on. And that was actually one of my problems before, was that I would project that onto him and there would be nothing wrong. Yeah. And I will say, like, there's a time and a place that if you're having problems with your person about something that's really bothering you that they're doing, definitely don't be a doormat. Like, don't accept bad or mean behavior from someone just because you want to bring them back. Like, I've actually been asked that if that's okay, and I'm like, no. do not accept mean treatment from someone. Now, yes, people are you pushed out, but there comes a point where you have to say, hey, is this something that is going to continue? Am I bringing this out in this person constantly, even though I want them back? Am I bringing out this side where they treat me this way? And I don't want to encourage anyone to ever stay in an abusive relationship. I've been in one, and no matter what I did, it just never got better. But there's been times where there's a time and a place to address certain things with your person, like maybe things from your past. You have to say, okay, you know what? We have progressed. We can talk about this now, because before it may have been too soon, too much. It would have scared them away. It would have pushed. And I've learned those boundaries. And so now, I ask him who is this, or, what's going on. And actually, we had something very awkward sort of happen. At work, one of my coworkers came over to me and said she just joined a new dating app, and she was like, "Isn't this your boyfriend?" And his profile was there, but it was from over the summer. And I immediately, like, I started crying because I thought, oh my gosh, what happened? Where, you know, why would he do this? You know? And so I took a photo of her phone. I sent it to him, and he said, you know, oh my gosh, like, I'm so sorry. Like, that was from over the summer. And I knew when the photo was from, on his profile. And, he said, let me get online. I'm going to download the app. I'm going to delete my profile. So he just deleted the app whenever we got back together, and he never deleted his profile because that's just, I don't know. He just didn't think about doing it. And so when that happened, you know, I talked to him about it immediately, and he was like, I'm so sorry. He apologized so many times for it. And of course we have a level of trust where he'll hand me his phone, and there's no secret. So if he was on an app trying to meet new people, he would not hand me his phone to make a phone call or, you know, things like that. So I had to kind of like reassure myself, hey, this is where we are. He was honest about it. We're moving forward. And you can't dwell on little things that come up like that. You absolutely can't. So,
and that's understandable. I can imagine it would be easy to just go, I'll delete the app, and you don't delete the profile. That's an easy mistake. Understandable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've done the same thing, because with Tinder, it's supposed to expire. Like, your profile's supposed to go away. If you don't log in, they actually send you like a notification, hey, you haven't logged in, your profile's going to go away. It doesn't go away. I didn't have the app for almost a year, and my profile was still there. And I had even tried to deactivate it too at one point, and it was still like visible to people. So the dating apps are not reliable. So if you do see something, I would say, you know, if you have that level of communication with your person, don't freak out and don't dwell on it, because the more you dwell on it, the more you're going to create it. And you don't want to do that. And that's exactly what I said. You know, my first video was when you warned me, hey, like, don't create that. Don't bring that into your life if it's not already there. And we've had quite a few little discussions because we're evolving. And one of the things that I wrote down to talk to you about today was, it's never going to be exactly the way it was before. So it's not that whatever your relationship was before you broke up, if that's the situation you're in, it's never going to be exactly the way it was, because you have grown as a person, they have changed, and those behaviors that were not working then can't keep going if you're going to have something new. And so that was actually hard for me. And a lesson I had to learn was, I remembered the version of him that was very, very just not obsessed with me, but in a healthy way, just wanted to make me happy. We were, you know, always together, always wanting to do things, super affectionate. And I had to let go of that because it was actually slowing me down. I had to let go of, it's not going to be the exact same way that it was. And that was hard. It was really hard to accept that, because I had one friend that I talked to, and she was like, Jaclyn, you have to let it go. Like, he's not the same. Like, that ended for a reason. It wasn't working. You have to move forward. You've grown. You can go back to a better version, actually, of yourself as a couple. But it's not going to be, like, don't expect it to be perfect the way it was. It's going to be exactly, you know, the same, because it's not, especially if you've been split up for a bit of time and you've worked on yourself, because their responses toward you are going to be different because you're different. So you're not going to create the same exact thing from that person. And honestly, that was really hard for me to learn. Like, I kept being like, he used to do this, and I dropped my phone, I'm sorry. It used to be, you know, it used to be this way, it used to be that way, it used to be, so he would say this, or he always called and did that, and I had to let that go.
Yeah.
because it's brand new. It is brand new. When you're creating something new and you're bringing them back, and you have to let go of those old habits first off, or else you're just going to end up in the same place again.
Well, and I think too, from what I remember you saying, that you guys spent so much time together that you let go of your friendships, you let go of doing anything else.
Yes.
So although on one level it looked like intense love, it was actually, from what you said, I think quite enmeshed, and you actually didn't have a life outside each other, which, as you know, isn't really healthy in the long run and can't sustain itself.
Right. And so, I mean, now, there was a time of like, I want to say 3 weeks that I didn't see him. And then I spent a weekend with him, and then I didn't see him again for another 3 weeks. And that bothered me recently. This was very recent. And I think it's because we were moving forward. And then like stuff came up, life happened. And there was some things that he and I needed to work out as a couple, like new boundaries. And once we work those things out, it's okay. But, you know, I've let him know, like, hey, like, let me know, like, clue me in. If you're not feeling up to something, you know, like, it's okay to tell me if you want space. And I kind of check in with him, as far as how he's feeling, because I'm afraid, I will admit, I am afraid of creating that situation again of where he got to that point of he didn't want to tell me that he needed a break. He was afraid to tell me he needed a break. And then all of a sudden it came boiling out. And so I do check in, but I make sure that when I approach him, it's a very relaxed way, because I want to make sure I am recognizing his feelings. I'm recognizing how he is doing in this, because while, yes, I am doing the work on me to bring him back, I still need to acknowledge, you know, who he is as a person, and say, like, is this too fast? Is this, you know, how are you feeling about this? Do you want space? And he'll tell me, he'll be like, I'm not feeling very good today. And then I'll just let him go. Like, I'll just phone, you know, I'll do my own thing all day. I'll stay busy.
Yeah.
And then he checks in later and he's like, hi, beautiful. How are you doing? I slept most of the day. I did this and this and this. And it's like I give him that breather, and it gives me a breather, and it's not this resistance between us, because I'm like, why isn't he messaging? Why is he not talking to me? What's he doing? And as soon as I'm just like, I'm gonna do my own thing, I get in a very happy place. And I check, and there he is. And every morning it's every morning it's good morning gorgeous, good morning beautiful. And then he sends me pictures of him, of our dog, and then, of course, our new puppy that I have. And it's just, there's still so much work to do. I can't emphasize that enough to other people, that it's a continuous thing. It's not just, oh, it's a miracle, you got your person back, everything's happy, fairy tale. No.
No, it's not. And you're only as good as today.
Right. Right. And I've been asked, you know, like, how did you just not contact him? I want to contact him all the time. And I'm like, you have to get to a point where you accept that the universe or God, whatever is your, you know, how you believe, that it's going to be taken care of. And, you know, in almost every faith that I have read about and listened to, it says, you know, put your trust in and give it to God, give it to the universe, and let it go. And that's literally what you have to do, because when you have anxiety, you're creating resistance about it because you're so worried about the outcome. And really, anxiety for me is a feeling of a loss of control. Like, I can't control what's happening, so I'm anxious and I'm worried and I'm trying to imagine all these different outcomes, and that's how you create things you don't want because you dwell on them. So it's constant work. It will I don't believe it'll ever be done. The work is always evolving because there's new scenarios, there's new things. You know, and I try my best to be supportive, and I do realize there's times that I still recognize where I'm selfish, or I am, you know, not in the place that I need to be. And granted, it doesn't stop everything and halt it the way it did before, because we are back together. But there's still work.
Yeah.
I just can't emphasize that enough. There's still work. Like, everybody asks me, so everything's great now. Well, yes, it is. But you have to stay focused, and you have to still love yourself, because even if it's not them that's causing the anxiety or, the doubt, something else gets in their way, you still have to work on yourself.
Yeah.
And so, I'm applying it to all areas of my life, like even finances, my job. Like, before I go to work every day, I tell myself I am great at my job. My clients love me. And it's just been something that I tell myself every single day. I'm amazing at my job. I'm great at my job. And work for me has been wonderful. Wonderful. I go to work and I set the tone before I get there.
Yeah.
I'm in a happy mood. I don't let my clients that used to cause me a point of stress. I don't let that happen anymore. I breathe, I walk away, I get away from my desk. I take time to just sit and focus. It's going to be okay. Let it go. And then that has helped balance out other areas of my life as well. And it's so funny because where I've struggled has been money, like manifesting money and abundance in my life. And so the relationship was easy for me compared to, other things. Relationship, I told my parents, I told everybody we were going to get back together. Like, and there was no alternative.
Yeah.
And with money, it's like, I have that hiccup, and other people are like, I can manifest money all the time. I'm like, how?
Yes. Yeah.
Because that's where I'm hung up. And so I think where it's super easy for some folks with certain things,
Yeah.
other things are not as easy. And it's okay if it's not as easy. That just means you have to do more internal work for that thing. There's some blocking you. There's something. Like, my belief is you have to work incredibly hard to get money.
Yeah. I used to have that too. And now it's like, this is the best financial day of my life, and money comes in faster than I can spend it. Those two affirmations have worked wonders for me.
That's awesome. I'm actually going to try those.
Yeah. And now what I used to make in a month, I can do in a week. So it does change. But, I had, same as you, Jaclyn, I had a real struggle with money for so long, because you have to work hard for money comes from our parents' generation.
Right.
And we've taken it on.
We have. And even my mom and dad, like, I have these conversations with my family about this because they're very much law of attraction believers, followers now. Like, they've watched what I've done.
Yeah.
And how I've manifested money to pay a bill or like a lottery ticket, like a small one. And they're like, oh my gosh, okay, this makes sense. And they started to realize like that's how our whole lives have been, and it's pretty amazing because they're definitely on the same thing as me. And I send them all kinds. My mom actually does your meditations now. It's amazing. I have her doing your meditations. So,
wow.
It's really funny how like it starts to click for some people, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is how I've been doing that, because I addressed that with my family. Like, I grew up on a huge farm. We did okay when I was growing up, but we still had times where money got tight. And even though my dad had a wonderful job and my mom worked very hard, it was just that belief that you work hard to get money. Like, that's just how it is. And so it also created the other belief of there's not enough.
Yep.
And there's never enough. And that's hard because then, every time you get money, it leaves.
Yep.
It runs away from you. So you get it. And so, it's kind of, it goes hand in hand with our people and our specific person, because if you have the belief that when you get with them, okay, they're texting me today, but they're not saying this, or they called me and they're not doing this, or we had a date, but he didn't do this, then that's still not enough. It's creating lack.
Yep.
And you can't focus on the lack. Like when I went on that trip to Denver, I was thinking, why isn't he holding my hand? Why aren't we moving forward?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I am on a trip to Denver with him. We are 10 hours from home. Why am I worried about something so small?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, a lot of people have asked too, like, you could have done this faster. You sound like you know this so good. And I keep bringing this up because it's my journey. Like, there was so much work I had to do that was damaged from previous relationships. And if I didn't fix it now, all of it, that I would just carry that forward. And so, I probably could have done it faster, but it wouldn't have lasted. I don't think we would even be where we are right now had I rushed the process. And I mean, there were times I tried to rush it and it just didn't work. Like, we would make tons of progress and then we would backslide. And, we've had the conversation of, like, am I what you want? Is this what you want? Like, are you sure this is what you want? Because I don't want, like I said, I don't want to end up with the surprise of, no, I don't want to do this, because that was, and it's really for my own reaffirming, which I wouldn't recommend people to just ask their person over and over and need that reassurance, because you have to be confident within yourself. This is more with his surgeries and things that have gone on that are, personal with him. Like, I don't want him to feel overwhelmed because I mean, he's gone through radiation and we've had a pretty difficult journey as far as health goes. So I don't want to think that people need to constantly ask that reassurance, because you have to be confident within yourself. It's more of, like, as we take the next step, he initiates it. And then there's sometimes where I just want to know, like, let's talk this out. We're starting brand new. We don't want to have the issues we had. And we are very open with one another. And he tells me, you're the only one I want. And I don't have to hear it every day. I don't have to hear this all the time, because I used to have to hear this. And when I say we talk about it, it's maybe once a month. So it's not all the time. It's been, just maybe, I want to say 2 or 3 times we've had that conversation of, are you sure? Like, okay, we're moving forward. And I've told him I need a little bit of a boundary, and for me, and he's willing, because he understands that now with me. Like, it's not me asking all the time, because he's admitted, like, you are not the person you were, a year ago, where he felt shoved away. I just like to have a little bit of feedback, and it's kind of a compromise, because I give him all the space in the world. And in return, all I've asked of him is, now that we're at this point of we're back together, hey, just let me know how things are going. Give me a breadcrumb. And it's okay. Like, that's all enough. I really want. A breadcrumb is all I really want, because I just want to make sure that, we're on the same page. And yes, it's your beliefs. 100% it is. And when you get with your person, you have that relationship dynamic, and you still have to talk as a couple. You still have to interact, and you still have to be able to problem solve and work things out. Because while, yes, everything is you pushed out, but there's still external factors affecting them. Like, they, we are not them entirely. Like, they still, I mean, they still go to their job. They still have their friends, so it's more of a, you get to that point of, we can talk this out now. It's not just, I don't want to push him. And because I didn't, for the longest time, I didn't bring anything up. I was just happy to be around him. I didn't bring things up until it felt like it was the right time. And it's one of those things that you kind of recognize as your relationship evolves. And I'm sure with you and your person, even though, you guys have your life together and you're traveling and things like that, like, you still have to interact as a couple. And you have to be aware of how your emotions affect that other person. And so that's really more of what it is. It's kind of like, just like a temperature check. Like, hey, we're still on the same page. We're still doing good. And in return, the communication with him is incredible. He has really, really, really stepped it up. We don't have those issues we used to have, because I focus on that he's open and he wants to communicate and he's honest. And so I don't dwell on, oh my gosh, I don't ever hear from him. What's happening with him? Because I used to focus on that and I felt so just in the dark. And so now when I think about him and I think about our relationship, I think about, oh, we communicate so well. This is lovely. Like, I love how much we talk. I love all this. And I tell myself that, and it brings it out because I'm not focused. And I remember you saying that one of the very first videos of yours I ever watched, you talked about how instead of focusing on they're not texting, you focus on our communication is so great. I love how we talk. And I would write that. I would just I would script it and write my story over and over. And I have these random notebooks of where I would be at work or at home, and I would watch one of your videos and I would be like, oh, I've got to write this out because it felt better to script it out. And I have like random pages of just during the day of what was bothering me that day with him, and I was writing the opposite. I was writing the positive affirmation of it. And it's actually kind of interesting to look back and see where I was at some places in my insecurities, because they're like in the face. When I read it, I'm like, wow, I was really in a different place then. And it's changed a lot. Like, I mean, we definitely still have growth, but you know, we talk about the future now, and we have, you know, our 2 dogs, and it's just, when I go to his house, my things are left where I left them, and there's no question, has anyone else been here? Has anyone else, you know, there's nothing like that. And we just fit back into this new but very familiar rhythm of being together. And it's really exciting. And I recognize now when I'm being a brat. and I know it, because I do like to control things. I like to have that control of a situation. And so that's my biggest hang up, is just letting go. And trusting, and just, it's gonna be okay. Like, and then if I have to remember, you know, something he said, and for my birthday, it was last weekend on the 11th, he planned and took me out to dinner. And then on the next morning we had breakfast with him and his dad. And then he took me shopping and was like, here, just, you know, get what you want. And I was not expecting any of that at all. And I don't ask him, you know, for gifts or anything like that. I've told him all I really want is the time spent. Like, for me personally, it's quality time together. That's all I care about. And so he took me shopping, and then, so if I've had a doubt, you know, come up in between now and then due to whatever it may be, I definitely tell myself, you know, you just had your whole birthday weekend with him. He took you out to a very fancy dinner, and you know, there was a lot of money spent, but I don't value the money spent. I value the time, but I have to tell myself also that he's not going to do that if there's another person involved. Like, the quality time, the way our relationship's evolving, you know, there is nobody else. And sometimes you have to reaffirm that to yourself so you don't get off in the bushes.
For sure. And it's easy to go there if you let yourself.
It really is. And I know you said people had emailed you. Do you have any questions that they would want me to address? I mean, I'm open to whatever anybody really wants.
It wasn't anything question in particular. It was just they were so inspired by just the process of how you did what you did, and how you talked about, you know, you swept your side of the street. You really went through, you know, I remember when you said you used to go in and check the house for evidence of other women or whatever, and you just said, this is in me. I've got to work out why the heck I'm doing this. And you spent that day, and you went back to your childhood, you dismantled it. And that really affected a lot of people in a good way, to go back and look at their own stuff. So yeah, I'm like, it is such a you were so thorough with your process. I think that's what was so great. And you were so insightful about your, whatever it was that was causing you the end result that you got. And then you went back and you went through things and you cleaned it all up. And it's like you say, quality time is the most important thing. Really, at the end of the day, when you love somebody, it's the time that is the most valuable asset. It's not the gifts. It's not the whatever it is. It's the time. You never get that time back. So it's the most valuable commodity of all.
Right. It is. And, you know, I'm definitely that way with my own family too. And growing up, I had a wonderful support system. And that's probably where I get that from, is I had no question of the devotion of my parents. They were by my side for everything. And even now, I'm 31. And if I called my mom and dad, I was broke down, they would be there. Like, they don't care. I mean, middle of the night, they're just that type of devoted. And so that's where I also get that for him. And I think he's realized that it's not suffocating. Like, I've backed off a lot. I've given him a lot of breathing room, but he's also realized, like, hey, we've been through, let's see, 1, 2, 3 surgeries now. And about to start a second round of radiation by his choice.
Yep.
And that, I think he's seen, like, it is unconditional. I'm not going to go anywhere. And I have told him I love him. We don't say that yet. We're not back to that point of I love you, but I tell him it's unconditional love. I tell him that I joke with him a little bit about it, but I'm like, I loved you when I didn't know if you would ever love me back. I didn't need that from you to feel good. I just wanted to do things for you.
Yes.
And I think he's realized that quite a bit. I've actually, one of the newest things that I've done is I have made peace with that person that I really just wasn't a fan.
Yes, I remember. The one that got a job somewhere else.
Yes. And I realized a lot about her, like, her and him had been really close. And so when I came into the picture and then he became almost obsessed with, like, we were together all the time. So it went from her having a friend, that had been in her life for 10 years to I was in his life all of a sudden. He had never really, hadn't had a serious girlfriend since his fiance 3 years ago. So of course, it was kind of a shock for her. And I tried to be her friend, but she wasn't in a place where she wanted to be friends really at all.
Yeah.
And as things progress, like now when I go, like when I think about her, I think of her in a loving way. Yeah. I actually think of her as her and I becoming friends. I have literally been able to, with your spotlight meditation, I have completely erased all negativity with her.
Wow.
I feel nothing but positive and like love toward her. And so if I go to her Facebook page, I do not go to stalk her anymore and see what she's up to. I actually go and I see her having fun with her friends, and I feel genuine love and happiness that she's having a good time with her friends. Because I think she battles anxiety and depression, and I want her to get through that, because I think it will help her with her relationships, because she doesn't do well in relationships. She tends to in and out of relationships all the time.
Yeah.
And so I really I think of her with love. Like, I think of her with affection. And so it's kind of crazy because I never thought I would get there. Ever. Yeah. I never thought I would be in a place that wasn't threatened by her, and not threatened that he wanted to be with her, but just that she wouldn't ever stop trying to be with him. And so that really made me, you know, super uncomfortable. And once I worked through a lot of things, like I did your spotlight meditation, and I actually like talked it out with her in that meditation of, you know, hey, you know, I'm sorry that I was not more approachable with the relationship, and sorry, she's climbing on me.
I could just see a little nose coming into the picture. Oh yeah, you got to show her. I mean, you can't not show her. She's too cute. Oh, look at the little face. Oh, hello. Hello. Hello, darling. Hello.
She's such a mess. So she's like started attacking my arm over here, and I was like, oh my gosh, how do I keep her from climbing on me?
No wonder you're tired. It's like having a baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she is really, really good. She's really, really sweet, but she has her schedule, and so there's no sleeping in for me. Like we're 5 every morning.
My God.
But she's really good. She's helped, and it's funny because he went with me to go pick her up, and I mean we do everything like that together, and it's really great how we've moved forward. And I've told him I want to be friends with that girl, and that's really surprised him. Because I don't grill him anymore, like, has she been over? Who are you with? Who are you hanging out with? You know, I don't ask him those kinds of questions. And so that has helped. And I mean, I think there's some other things in his life that are kind of like his living situation. Like I think his roommate may be moving out, which his roommate has found someone that he's in love with, and I think he's possibly moving out of state. And I mean, I have no idea when, but all these things that were kind of like had slowed us down before, that were in the way before, where we were just like, why are we not moving forward? You know, it had really gotten to the point where I focused on, oh my gosh, like why are we stopped? You know, these other factors came in, and he had people move into his house, you know, and I was just like, why are we not moving forward? This is so awful. And once I've stopped focusing on it, everything's working out. And I don't mean at all that, oh my gosh, we're going to move in together, but I feel like we're getting to a place of maybe moving forward better now.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely not focusing on the, why am I not living there?
Yes.
You know? So, and I mean, I have my things there. I have my stuff's on the sink, and he calls it my sink. You know, like little things like that mean a lot to me, because
yes,
he's acknowledging my presence in his life, and he's acknowledging his presence in my life. And you know, he calls me, it's so funny, it's so small, but he calls me my dear. And he, for the longest time, he didn't call me anything with a possessive anything, my love, my dear. He had stopped all of that.
Yeah.
And so for him to call me an endearing term of my dear or love, or, you know, anything like that, that's a big deal. Like a big deal. And most people would be like, that, why is that even a big deal? Like, that's not, you know, that's so small. It's a pet name. But for us, we didn't call each other pet names. That was not something, there was no baby or babe or, you know, none of that. So for him to say, my dear, you know, like, good morning, beautiful. How are you today, my dear? I'm so proud of you. When I tell him, you know, like, I went running, and that is a big deal to me.
Yeah.
And that means a lot. And it's just confirmation that everything is working. And sometimes, instead of looking for signs, which I still see signs all the time, I don't look for them anymore. I used to be like, I need a sign. I need something to show me. And now it's like, oh, well, there it is. That's nice. And I go on about my day.
Yes. Isn't that wonderful? More relaxed, more open-handed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's so nice. It's so nice. And I mean it though. The work is never done.
No.
And I don't mean that to scare people, but life happens. You evolve as a person. Things come up where you have to find that balance of where you don't project it onto them.
Yeah.
And you have to let it go. And even the letting it go is when I walk out the door from work at the end of the day, I have to leave my work there.
Yes.
And not take it with me. And that means it stays there. So I don't take it home. And I don't get frustrated with him. And, you know, we talk out things with work and I don't just vent and vent and vent. Oh, that actually reminds me of one thing I did want to say. The venting. I realized a lot that the venting can actually be more hurtful than good.
Yeah.
And don't talk to people that don't understand what you're going through, because I have a very dear friend who it's very weird. Her situation with her person is literally carbon copy everything I went through with mine.
Wow.
To the T, just everything. And so we've been talking and she's like, you're helping me so much. You needed a you when you were going through your breakup, because like you, and I'm like, well, I mean, I kind of had a me. I had, you know, I had people that I was like, I had Agnes on YouTube and I watched her. And so I said, even though I wasn't interacting with her daily, I still had a person to help, something I focused on. Her and Dan really helped me. And she's like, yeah, but she's like, you don't know how great it sounds with you where you are to help me.
Yes.
And it still blows my mind. I'm like, well, I don't know. I get so confused by, I don't feel like I'm so far beyond, you know, other situations, but she's like, no. And within like 5 days, she is in a great place. She does self-love meditation. She doesn't feel the need to contact him. I think they're actually supposed to see each other today to exchange some things. And she said she was writing her story, like what she wanted to say to him about how like she knows what she did to push him away, you know, all this stuff. And I told her, I was like, rewrite it several times, because you're going to evolve within a few days, and you may not want to say something to him that sounds good today. You may read it Saturday and be like, oh, I don't want to say that at all.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's, I mean, I've told her, you know, rewrite it, journal, get it out, you know, and talk out loud to yourself about it. Say what you want to say to yourself and see how it sounds, because you may think it sounds good in your head. And then you go to say it and you're like, that still sounds needy. Like, that's not where I want to be. But she's really, really coming far with it. And, you know, she started to tell her sister about it. And her sister was like, you know, you need to just move on. Don't waste your time. Like, somebody who's never going to commit to you. And she's like, no, that's not. She said, I made mistakes. And she said that everybody's like, you did nothing wrong. And she's like, but I did do something wrong. And she said, there's equal blame, because when he quit talking to me about his feelings, and then he was just frustrated, she said, I got more crazy with him about it. Yeah. And she said it was a cycle. And so she's like, we both made mistakes, but she said, I can fix what I did. And I said, exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
You can't make them do the work, but you doing the work on you helps them.
Yeah, exactly. And did she see your interview, your first one?
Yes. And she's read it. And like, that's actually the first thing I sent her. I was like, all right, listen to this, where you read my story, and it was forever long.
Yeah, but it was good detail.
I had her listen to that, and then that's when she was like, I found her self-love meditation. I'm going to do it right now. And so she started doing those, and she's really just on it. Like, she is like, I'm going to get through this. And there's another girl that I talk to daily, and she found me on Facebook, and we talk every single day. And, we're actually planning trips together. We live on opposite sides of the world. And so we're actually planning trips because I'm working on money and abundance and bringing that into my life. And so I'm determined we're going to, take trips together and go hiking because we're both only children. And she's so positive, and I absolutely love it. Like, I talk to her every single day, and it's so crazy how LOA brings other people into your life and brings that people that you would have never expected are suddenly just right there in front of you. And you're like, holy cow, we have so much in common. This is great.
Yeah.
And we've all kind of, everyone I've interacted with about this is, don't talk to people that don't understand, because they'll derail you, and they don't get it. And my friend actually mentioned that her sister was in a bad relationship for about 5 years. The person never proposed to her, and so that's where her feelings come from of, don't wait for this guy. And she's like, I know that's why she feels that way, is because her experience, so she thinks that my experience is going to be that way, and that's not even the case. And I said, you have to stop talking to me. I said, you can talk to me about it, because I'll help you stay focused, but don't talk to people that don't understand, because they will discourage you. And then even Dan had a video where he was talking about how, people that they mean well because they love you. Yeah. And they don't realize that when they're grilling you, like, well, have you had your date? Are you guys going to go out? Have you heard from them? That you're like, you were fine with it. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute. I'm not fine.
Yeah. It does derail. It does derail you mentally. It's not worth it.
It does. It's not worth it at all. And so, it kind of, it really can confuse you, and it can make you where you feel anxiety where you didn't feel anxiety. Yeah. And so that's something that I've tried to emphasize to everyone who is going through this, is you've got to watch who you talk to, because people who don't understand it, they have their own unresolved issues. And even my own family, my mom and dad, they love me, more than anything, but they have said, are you guys going to do this? And maybe something came up and we couldn't do it. And it's just the fact that they asked. I've literally gotten to the point where I'm like, don't ask anything until I tell you it's happening. Yeah. Just assume it's fine. Like, I'll tell you what's going on.
Isn't that good? Isn't that a good projection? You assume what I'm doing is fine. So you're telling them how to assume your life is good. What a good way to train them.
And I mean, my mom's like, we love you. And I know, and they're protective of me. And there's been times where our dates have gotten canceled because he's in the military and he's been called into work, or, like, he's been sick from radiation. And so I've had to be okay with that. And my mom, I mean, there's been times where I've been completely ready, hair, makeup done, dressed up, and we cancel. Yeah. And I think it hurts my parents' feelings to see me hurt, because I'm prepared, but that's something I have to deal with and be okay with and go through. Yeah. And so I've told them, like, if you don't hear from me, just assume it's fine. Like, I'll tell you what's going on. And I mean, it's taken a while for them to get to the point where they don't ask, like, is he on his way? Are you guys, because the minute they ask, is he coming? I'm like, oh, I feel it. I feel the anxiety. So I've literally said, even when it's not fine and I'm struggling, I say it's fine. Yes. I say it's good.
Yeah, especially to people that can derail you a little bit, even if it's out of love.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's wise, because then you deal with it on your own without any outside influence.
Yes. Yes, because even at work, I got last summer when I was really struggling and I was very first trying to fix me. I was not having a good day. Like I really wasn't. I was struggling. It was hard to get out of bed. I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
But when people would ask me, I never said, oh, I'm okay. I always said, I'm great. And I said, I am great every single time. And that alone changed everything, because instead of me focusing on what was happening, which was I was sad, I was heartbroken, I was trying to get through it. I felt like I couldn't breathe some days.
Yep.
I said, I'm great. I'm great. And even though it's not true at that time, I mean, it was really not true, but that's the whole point, is you live in the end result of when you are great. You live in that end moment of, I'm not okay right now, but I'm going to be, and that's where I want to be. So you absolutely tell yourself you are, and then you become great.
Yeah.
And I've actually been listening to Neville like crazy lately.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's, you know, the powers within you to alter your state on the outside, and whatever you're believing is what's going to happen. So if you believe that your relationship's going to work out and you're going to be together, well, then you will. But if you sit there and have doubts and you let it take over, I mean, it's kind of, Neville, I feel like sometimes for me, he speeds through, like, you do this and this, and then you have this. And then sometimes it's like not the middle part, like how you get through the day. And then Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, that's more of replacing the thoughts, the chain reaction, how you get from here to here to here to here. And so if you combine them, which is what I have to do, like, I love Neville's principles and I love his teachings, and I listen to his audiobooks all the time. Asking It, Believe It In was one of the first ones that I listened to. There's several more, but
Is it Prayer, the Art of Believing?
Prayer, the Art of there's a few. I would have to look. I can email them to you and let you know.
They're all little skinny books. I know, they're so good. They really are.
So good. And they are shorter, but it gets the point across like really, really, really fast. So I apply what Neville says to Abraham as well, because with Abraham, it's like, she doesn't focus on specific people a lot. It's more of creating what you want, in the universe will bring it to you, because you have to be on the right vibration with it, you know, and you have to align with it. So it's the getting through the day, like starting my day with positive affirmations, starting my day with really good, just rampages of appreciation about money, about, you know, like I said, I used to stand in front of my mirror, brushing my teeth, doing my makeup, and say, I am loved, I am wanted, I'm secure. And then on the way to work, I would listen to, today is a great day. Today is a new day. I can create whatever I want. And, you know, it just goes over and over and over again. And really that's what helped me, because I was able to get my mindset straight at the beginning of the day. And I mean, there were times during the day I would have to go downstairs and go to my car at work and listen to your self-love meditations at work. I would have to write it. I would have to repeat it. And I'm not in that place anymore where I have to be so dedicated to drown out those thoughts. But everything we do has a reaction, and there's always, if you feel like something's not going to turn out good when you do it, it's probably not going to. You have to be confident and secure about your decisions you make. Because even with him, whenever I've said something that maybe was a conversation we needed to have, but if I thought, oh gosh, he's going to react this way, oh no, you know, and I was like nervous about it, he would react negatively. And it was never what I wanted. It was never good. And then other times, you know, when I was like, this is going to be good, this is time, we need to have this conversation, it turned out perfect every time. So there's just our feelings, and really the main part is our feelings about things. It's your feeling. You can think, you know, I'm doing great, but until you feel it, you have to tell yourself that until you believe it and you feel it. because it's what our feelings is what is going on. Because you can say, oh, I trust him, but if deep down you're like, I don't, I don't. And that's really what you feel, then that's what's going to happen, is you don't actually trust him. You're lying. But it's okay to tell yourself over and over that you do, to get that belief
that's it
in your head.
Yeah.
That's the broken record part I've said is you have to tell yourself over and over again until you believe it, because when you believe it and you feel it, that's when it's real.
Yep. Exactly right. Exactly right.
I haven't gotten too far off in the bushes with this, have I?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's brilliant. That's been an hour already. God. That's really, honestly, you're like watching a good TV show, Jaclyn.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you are. It's great. Look at your dog in the back. How cute.
She is so busy.
Ready to get out, ready to go for a run. Thank you, Jaclyn. That's so great. And I'm sure, again, people are going to want to ask you stuff. So,
okay.
Check the thread when you get time. And I think it's wonderful that, you're helping people. That this is the thing. Once you get it, once you're living it, you still maintain. But I think part of maintaining is giving it away to others. Because you can, as you have to explain it to others, you're able to maintain it for your own self, in your own relationship, in your own finances, in your own whatever. So, yeah, it's wonderful that you're helping that friend, and she'll probably see this interview of yours, and
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
It's, you're right about the giving it away and helping others. That helps me, because I can be in kind of a negative place in my own head, and then someone comes to me for advice, and then I tell it to them, and then it's like, oh, I'm better all of a sudden because I'm helping them.
Yes, and you know what? That's what happens to me when I do what I do, and it's like I'm a much better version of me, and I'm much better in my relationship when I share this stuff. And that's part of the reason I started the channel, if I'm honest, is to get my own head out of my own, where.
Yeah. I mean, exact same thing. I've told, one of the main things I tell people is you have to be okay without them.
Yeah.
And this is probably the main thing. If there's anything you take away from it as a viewer, you have to be okay alone. You have to be okay if they are with another person, in that sense of unconditional love. I don't have to be with you to love you.
To love you.
I don't have to have you love me back to love you. And when you are absolutely okay with them being happy, you just want them to be happy because it makes you happy if they're happy.
Yeah.
Then, that's where it is. Yeah. That's the unconditional love, is I just want you to be happy. I love you whether you love me back or not.
Yep.
And you have to be okay when they're not texting you. You have to be happy if they're not messaging you, if they're not calling you, if you're not seeing them. You have to be happy alone, as if they're not even in your life.
Yep.
And that's when the magic happens.
I agree.
That's when it happens so fast, is you have to be okay alone.
Yeah. And that's when I think that moment happens where you realize love isn't over there with them. It's always been over here with you. Because even when they were with you and you were loving them, it was still coming from you to them, which means if they walk away, it's not like two suitcases that goes away with them, the love. It's still here.
Right.
And that it's a moment, like you say, that you realize that if you can be okay without them, it's like you break free of your own mental chains.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. That's the biggest lesson I had to learn was I had to be okay when he wasn't texting me. I had to be okay. I mean, I didn't know at all whether he was on a dating app. I didn't know if he was dating other people, because it didn't matter. You have to accept that whatever's happening now, unless you're you're married and you're in a relationship and the cheating is obviously not something that you want going on.
Yeah.
But when you're apart and you're working on bringing them back together, you have to not care.
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter. Once you get together and you guys are together as a couple, as a unit, you're going to be together, and that's when it matters. Right now, when you're doing the work, if that's what they need to go through in order to figure out their own stuff,
yeah,
if they have to date another person, like my person went on a date. He went on a date after our Denver trip, and he realized on that date that he wanted my companionship, that he was like, I don't want to start over. I don't like this.
yeah.
And I mean, he already knew on the trip that his feelings were still there, but it took him going on a date with somebody that he said he was literally miserable the whole time.
Yeah.
And he just was like, I don't want to be here. Like, I want to go home. And he realized he still had feelings. He didn't know how to really sort through a lot of stuff, but he realized that in that moment. And so I'm grateful he went on a date.
Yes.
I am grateful he experienced that, because he experienced it. He realized what we had was as great as what he had thought it was and what I thought it was. And I don't mean that people need to run around and date a ton of other people, but if you're really struggling with, should I continue to pursue this, and you're getting tired of it, and maybe you need to take a break for a little bit. Maybe you need to spend time with other people, hang out with friends, not necessarily go on dates, but if that's what it takes to get your head in the right place for you to focus and go, hey, maybe this isn't what you want.
Yeah.
Or maybe this is absolutely what you want to do. Then whatever it takes for that growth, definitely go through that growth. And I mean, if that's what it took for him, then so be okay. I'm grateful. Like, please, like, thank you for doing that.
Yes.
Like, because now he knows what we have is so dynamic and special, and it means more. And he realized immediately that he didn't want to do that. He realized that was not something that he wanted to do. So it definitely did work out. And you have to you can't be focused so much on what are they doing, because maybe they are on a date, or they are dating someone else. And like even Dan has said, like, if they're on a date, maybe they're going to realize this, I don't want to date anybody else. Like, I want to stay focused on Sally over here, because Sally is not, I don't even want to be over here, because something happens. It's like a switch, and it makes you realize, like, what you have is you don't want, the other side of the fence is not greener. And it's amazing. You just have to be confident with you that you do mean a lot to this person, and that you are a priority, and that you are first best, and that they are going to choose you because you are number one. This is your relationship. You are loved. You have that connection, that it's there, and you have to trust it. So it does get kind of hard, because you're like, oh my gosh, what if they meet? Well, so they meet lots of people all the time. It's okay.
It's okay. And that's life.
If you're loving you and you're working through you, I promise you, without a doubt, if I had not done the self-love, and I did not put myself as a priority, and I didn't tell myself I was secure and confident, that date would have turned out differently with him. Yes,
exactly right.
It would have. It would not have been where he went on the date and realized he wanted to, or he still had feelings for me, and he didn't want it. He wanted the companionship with me. He wanted our relationship. It wouldn't have turned out that way. If I hadn't been doing the work on me, it would have been a different story. It would have been, oh, I went on a date, I've met somebody, the alternative. But because I was telling myself every day, I am first best, I am a priority, I am number one, I'm confident, I'm secure, I am loved. He realized, oh, I don't want that.
Isn't that wonderful to see how you turned the tide because of what you did? Like you say, he chose me. I am actually first best. He didn't pick her, he picked me. I am the priority because he sees me. And he took me out for my birthday, and the evidence is That's the evidence. I am the priority. I do matter. I am important, and I am first best. So it's good to, once it's manifested, to just absorb it and go, oh my God, I did it,
Right.
and take it in and give yourself the credit for what you just turned around in your favor, because it's an amazing moment when you see the evidence.
Yep. And I remember when meditation, the first few times I did it, I cried my eyes out.
Yeah.
Because it was incredibly powerful to take yourself and put yourself in the place of it's already happened. But I remember when I was in the state I'm currently in.
Yes. Yes.
So that was so powerful for me, and I kept doing it until I didn't cry my eyes out anymore.
Yes.
And
But isn't it good to unblock all that stuff though?
Oh yeah. I didn't realize it was a block either. And there'd be times I'd be driving down the road and I'd be thinking, I remember when, and having that conversation with him, and I'd be crying, and I'm just like, I've got to work through this.
Wow.
I am a crier though, I will say. Like I'm super sappy. Like,
yeah. Actually, I'll put the that I remember when meditation down below.
Okay. Sorry, my microphone muted for a second. I don't know what happened.
No, that's okay. I just said while you were on pause, I'll put the I remember when meditation down below, because it is, it is a Neville technique. It's one of his, and I can. When I first heard it, I thought, oh yeah, I didn't think too much of it. But when you use it, that's a different story. It
is. And that's why I was saying, like, if you could do one for money, like I remember when, because that is super powerful as well. Like that alone, I feel like that with your self-love and you're ahead in time, like those really, really, really changed a lot for me. And then most recently, your spotlight meditation, the forgiveness, oh my gosh, just that.
You mean the forgiveness meditation, forgiving yourself and forgiving the other person?
There was a spotlight one where you sit and you see 3 different people maybe, and then you walk up to them and they tell you they're sorry.
Oh, that's the spotlight one. Yeah.
Yes, that one is so powerful for me, because I brought in that other girl as well.
Yeah.
And him, and then another friend, and it was just really, really powerful to let go. And even my ex-husband, because our relationship was toxic, and I hadn't let go. And I actually brought a lot of that into my relationship with my person now, because I constantly brought it up, and I just never let it go.
Yeah.
I was like, I've been damaged. And I just kept repeating like how damaged I was. And so I made myself more damaged and more crazy, because I didn't let go and say that, hey, I went through this, but I'm better now. Like I'm good now. I just kept re-emphasizing it. So that's another thing, is like, if you keep talking about these bad things that happen to you, you're going to keep them active in your life.
Yeah. As Neville says, you reinfect yourself with the offense again and again and again.
Over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's awful.
It is
awful to do that to yourself, because you don't realize it. That's another thing with venting. And Esther Hicks or Abraham says, it's like you're spewing like a mist. And every time you talk about this bad thing, you're spitting this fog out and this smoke out. And it takes a little bit of when you quit talking about it for it to dissipate and go away and the air to clear.
Yep.
Like, so the more you talk about it, the more you're infecting the air around you with that situation. And it's like a fog. And pretty soon you're just going to be stuck in this fog. And the more you talk about it, the longer it takes for it to clear and get out of your life and reset. So, that's why, like, I even tell my mom, I'm like, if it made you mad, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, don't even talk about it. Like, accept that it happened, let it go, talk about the opposite, talk about the positive.
Yeah.
And that's how you can get to a lot better places. And
definitely.
And learn your own disconnect point. For me, if I feel myself getting frustrated with him, but kind of in general, just because of my own personal stuff, I disconnect.
Yeah.
I tell myself, okay, I'm done right now. I won't keep messaging him. I won't make it worse.
Yes.
I put my phone down, I disconnect, I talk to someone else, I read, I do something positive, and I take my attention away.
Yep.
I don't keep
Yes.
pissing him off. Like, I'm like, sorry, but like, just making him mad. Like, don't keep poking a stick. Like,
yes.
trying to get an answer out of something that you're not getting an answer out just because you're frustrated.
Exactly.
Like, let it go. Like, I literally tell myself, I'm done right now. And I put my phone down and I walk away from my phone.
Yep.
I clear my head. I breathe. I focus on just breathing and being calm. And I tell myself, affirmations, and then I'm okay. And then I get through it. And then I'm ready to talk to him again.
Yes.
And I'm not hostile.
Yeah. It's taking responsibility for your own self, isn't it? And not putting your own self at that moment onto someone else. Yeah, I do that too. It's about, I just go and lay on the bed and I do a meditation, and I, like you say, breathing is so important because that helps to let go. So, yeah, really important. Well, Jaclyn, I'm going to have to go because I got a one-on-one session in 15 minutes.
All righty. Well, thank you for everything.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, well, I'm going to put everything we talked about down in the thread, and I'm sure people will ask you questions. So just stay here for a second. I'm going to shut the recording down.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.